Oh, for sake. Hello, welcome back to the garage. So this isn't the episode that I set out to make. I did have a bit of a spiel about perfection being the enemy of the good, which I think is a problem in this case. Basically, you're striving to achieve perfection and you actually lose sight of the end goal. I've nailed it down. There is no point in my, doing all the interior, doing everything else, to then put the boat in the water and either it sinks, which is not beyond the realms of possibility. This is me we're talking about, or I put the mast up, the mast snaps, or it's completely unsaleable, or whatever it may be. So I need to get to the main ingredient. So I need to get it in the water. I need to get it tested. To that end, it needs an outboard, needs the holes fixed, it needs the windows, it needs to be watertight inside, needs the water pump, and it needs some of the electronics. But that's it. Everything else is fluff. So whilst I may be doing little bits on the side, my core focus now is just on those things to get it in the water, hopefully within a month, 2 months. As Douglas Adams says, I love deadlines. I like the whooshing noise they make as they go past. Anyway, to get to that, because then fancying it up, whatever it may be, is all stuff that I can do once I know that I'm not then wasting my time. Because if I put it in the water and it sinks, I know I'm wasting my time. So I had originally planned to be doing lots of stuff out on the boat in preparation for putting the fiberglass in, but I can't do that because it's been raining again for most of the day. So instead, what I've been doing is the outboard, because that is a key part of it, because I don't know how to sail. So if nothing else, I can get myself a not very fancy motorboat by sticking the outboard on the back. So today, we are mainly dealing with the outboard, and spoilers, it's a bit of an emotional joyride, this one. It's quite a lot of swearing, although I've bleeped out all the rude words. Hope you enjoy it. I am looking today at the first part of the outboard motor that was kindly given to me by viewer Phil. This is very much the top part of it, and in particular the starter mechanism, which, as you can see, is a little bit gummed up, shall we say. So I'm going to take it apart, give it a clean, give it a grease up, and see what we can do about it. First things first, I think I need to untie this bit, although probably it will be easier to just snip it off and retie. Sorry about the background noise if it's coming through. It is very much a Sunday and people are cleaning cars and all sorts. So that's part one. And I'll have a jam jar as well. Oh, okay. So oh, that might have been a mistake, but we shall see. Yeah, it's a spring. Clock spring by the look of it. Okay, great start. And these have got huge amounts of energy stored within them. I know that from watching watch videos. So I think I just need to lift it off that pin there first, and then we can worry about the rest of it. I mean, I can tell by touch that it is incredibly gunky and sticky, probably very old oil residue. So I'm going to release some of the tension. There we go. That can go to one side, and I'll work out how best to clean that. Meanwhile, I'll take off the winding rope. This actually looks in pretty decent condition. I'm presuming we'll be able to take it apart here to get inside the two joints here. So, first things first, let's take this off. There's a little sort of retaining clip, I suppose you'd call it there, is it? That comes off. This may just lift off. There we go. Then we can just slide that out like that. Leave that intact for the moment. And then what have we got? We've got some screws there. That's going to come off if I do that. So we should be able to undo those screws. Hopefully this will then come apart. And that's it in the way of moving parts. So we can take that out. Not a huge amount to clean. I think it's a hot soapy water job. I'll double check this. I think, yeah, this is just coming up. So we shall have to deal with that. And also some crud here that I think could probably do with being dealt with. Okay, just warm soapy water. I'm not sure about to what extent one should lubricate that, but I think it certainly needs a bit of a clean because there's an awful lot of dust and dirt in it. Likewise these. So I'm going to just give them a little once over with my trusty metal brush just to get the worst of it off, and then dry it thoroughly. And then also you'll see in here old grease, I'm guessing that is, now all over my fingers. I really should wear gloves. So I'm going to give that a bit of a clean as well. I suspect I took this off in the wrong order, so that will go like that to hold the pull spring in place after the pull spring's been looped around there. And there is a trick apparently to getting the pull spring back on nice and easily, so I'll be giving that a try as well. I'll just get a bit of degreaser on this, I think. And try and get some of this crud off. And give it a bit of a dry. While we turn to this spring, it's a difficult one. I think I want to get rid of the worst of the greb. I'm going to give it a generous spray of degreaser, and then a little dunk in there. And then a dry off. I won't actually even give it a dunk in there. I'm just going to pull it through here. It's going to be a challenge in itself. Pull it through some blue cloth to give it a clean off the accumulated crap, but it feels much smoother under my fingers. One or two still slightly grabby spots. Obviously YouTube is not a tactile medium, but I can tell you it feels great in comparison to how it did feel. It feels much cleaner, much nicer. Right, I won't lie, this is about the 5th attempt at getting this bloody spring wound back up and in place. So what have I done? I've put the new rope in and I've just taped that out of the way at the moment because it's getting in the way when we're trying to twist, and that's not ideal. So this is flat, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a nail of some kind, and I'm just going to nail it in, hopefully at this end. Because I need something against which to maintain tension. Trust me, there's enough bloody tension going on. So then I can pop a bit onto that, and then making sure it all stays flat. In theory, as long as I can turn it the right bloody direction, I should be able to twist it tight, keep it flat. Against the tension at the end there. And hopefully at the last minute it will pull itself into a nice tidy circle. Problem is that it doesn't have any sort of casing. It is, however, now a nice tidy circle. I don't want to pull it any further than that. So that bit has got to come out there, while the rest of it, I get the nail out, then clips. It goes. Please go. You in? No, you're not, are you? You're not even remotely central. Okay, try not to let it all come undone again. Oh, for sake. Thing. Right, it's done. You might, if I've left them in, have got an idea from the outtakes of precisely how much of a ball ache that was. So this is where we're at. Certainly much smoother than it was. So all that now remains, in theory, is putting this back. I think it was on there, wasn't it? I think that rope is a little bit too thick or too long, possibly just too long. Anyway, I've got the toggle there so I can adjust it. I think, I mean, it works much better than it did. I think that is just a question of it being too long. Certainly nice and smooth. Right. So, it's a few days later. I got the pull starter working, put it on top of here. It wouldn't move. Basically, after I guess 8 years or so, the flywheel is pretty much stuck. So I've tried a few things to try and get it off without having to resort to a flywheel puller, but of course, this being me, none of them worked. So I've had to resort to a flywheel puller, which hopefully will work. Let's find out. And the smallest 3 bolts that came with the kit, which go into these holes here, are too small, so I've had to dig into my screw supply. Hopefully these will do the trick. Oh, brilliant. So that's pulled out the very thing it's supposed to be screwed into. So that's great. You see why I get frustrated? Literally everything I try to do, it doesn't work. They're just pulling the whole thing out. I don't know why I bother. I really don't. Right, well, I refuse to allow myself to be beaten by this bloody thing. So I gave it one more shot. This morning, obviously, being me, I wasn't actually videoing at the time, and I've got the flywheel off. It doesn't actually look too bad. From what I can gather, this bit is the problem, because the flywheel, if I find it, the flywheel comes down over here, and that goes into there. So when you turn the flywheel, this should turn, and it's this that isn't turning at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can pop this hole. This is a magneto. I'm going to see if I can pop that off. So the magneto is off. That was held in place by 2 Phillips screws down there, and this captive screw there was the one that I was missing. So we're then down under to this bit, which I've cleaned up a little. And now let's see. So that ring there spins fine, but this, I mean, I think that should spin. There's no other explanation for it. So that clearly locks into there, and then this whole thing is driven by the starter, which means that this must rotate, but it quite clearly isn't. So I'm wondering if perhaps it's jammed even further down within the guts of the engine. And let's see if we can see anything when we get this ring off. No, more stuff. I mean, I think that's a manifold. I should be able to take that off. 4 bolts. And then that'll let me see inside there. Let's try that next. In here, I can't really see much. It looks rather clean, if anything. Right, so I'm afraid, because I'm a consummate professional, that you're going to have to rely on a voiceover for this, because for some reason my microphone wasn't working properly. What I'm saying is I've got the flywheel off. I basically put the flywheel puller back on, and then I hit it relatively hard with a hammer. That's that gesture, straight on top of the puller and it popped off. So that's good. However, I then ended up going down a bit of a rabbit hole. And I think what I'm trying to explain here is that I got the magneto off, spark plugs out, I don't really know why, and I'm trying to point where they are. And then I think I also looked up that possibly it was due to the propeller section being locked up. So I took the propeller off and all the rest of the bits that came with it. But at this stage, it's still not turning. So at this stage, I think I'm taking off the cylinder head as well. And I'm just about to give you a slightly closer look at that. And have been trying the penetrating oil to try and get them to free up. Now, it's been disappearing down into the bottom piston, okay, but hasn't been getting past the top one. So I'm slightly at a loss as to what to do. So the next thing to try is heat. So I got out the heat gun, and I'm really going to skip forward through this because this didn't work. It heats up the outside, which causes it to expand and basically cracks the bond between the cylinder and the piston or whatever it is. But long story short, it didn't work. So instead, I thought I'll go back to the penetrating oil. I'll leave it for another 24 hours and see if it filters through. And that's where we are. As you can see, I've now brought it inside. The penetrating oil hasn't moved. So I'm going for what I hope is a last ditch attempt to free up the pistons, which I have seen used on the internet. Percussive force again, blockwood and a hammer. So basically I'm going to try and drive this one down, should drive this one up, and we'll see how we go. I'm not going to do it too hard, and staggeringly it's moving. So I'm just going to take off that penetrating oil before that flows out everywhere. And that one's coming up. Nice. So in theory, if I can get it to go through a full rotation, then it should be free. But I won't hammer and talk at the same time. Most importantly, I should be able to see down into this cylinder as well. And I'll try and give you a closer look. But it looks all right. I'm going to give it another spray of penetrating oil. So in the video that I was watching, the guy was able to push this up and down relatively easily by hand, and I think that's the position that I want to get to, unless it's another part further in that is seized. Let's see how we go. So they don't look too bad. Again, a little bit of gunk there, but I think that's just, yeah, that's just surface gunk. I'm going to give them a few more rotations and cleans, and then we'll see how we go putting the flywheel back on. Have I actually, for once, done something right? I'm sure people will find, things to point out that I've done wrong. Can I now turn this? by hand? And the answer is yes, I can. Holy I've actually done something right. I think. I mean, I've got an entire engine in pieces, but it bloody works. Do you know what? I could almost cry, but I'm not going to. I've got to work out how to put the bloody thing back together now.